A very wonderful afternoon to you. Thank you for staying with us here on ITV. Welcome to Law and You. We're in Benin City, Nigeria. I am Uyi Agumofwegbe, your host. In the last few years, you would realize that we've seen a very tremendous increase in the number of persons who pose or who have posed to be lawyers in Nigeria. We have a lot of them who had even posed long enough to have taken briefs as though they were bona fide, or if you like, authentic, trained, practicing lawyers. You have those who had to close deals on behalf of individuals and corporate entities in this Nigeria in our lifetime. As a matter of fact, there's a particular example where this individual had, as it were, quote unquote, practiced for 15 straight years. While that probably will make your eyes pop, you're asking, how did he manage to successfully pull off this kind of, for want of better words, stunts for 15 whole years? Is the environment so friendly with this kind of practice? How many more of such persons do we have in Nigeria today? What is the role of law enforcement? What are the systems in place to check this kind of unwholesome practice that negates the standards that are already entrenched? We want to have that conversation on Law and You this week. Stay with us. My guest on the program today is a practicing lawyer based here in Benin City who has seen a wealth of experience in this very noble field or profession. Barrister Matthias Obayiwana, so good to have you on the program.
Thank you, E, and good afternoon.
I want us to look at this kind of development where you have individuals who pose to be your colleagues. Beyond the embarrassment it brings to you as a professional lawyer, what are the other implications?
Well, it's an outright act of criminality when you pose to be who you are not. You could impersonate another person living or dead.
Right.
You could impersonate a status, a position, you know, by forging documents, posing to be the character that you are not. That by itself is an offense under the Criminal Code. Chapter 46 of the Criminal Code, which is section 484 to 489, deals with this class of offense. You know, it's like you say, it's an embarrassment to the profession. It is not peculiar to the law practice alone. Even the medical practice, you find people, you know, going about performing surgeries. You know, they are still so long in the system. There was one that was head of was actually working in the ministry, you know, of health, and they has been there for a while until, in fact, we're going to rise to managerial position until the petition came to exposing that he was not qualified. You know, so it does happen across you know, profession in the country, but it's a pathetic one. For anyone who desire to be to attain particular height in life, you want to be a professional, any kind of professional, a lawyer, a medical doctor, an engineer, you should go through the crucibles of, you know, education and getting the appropriate certificate before you can come in. So there's no shortcut to life. You know, so many who engage in this shortcut measure, you know, when they are arrested, the law comes down heavily on them. And when they are prosecuted successfully for impersonation, they will go for the minimum, you know, imprisonment is 3 years, you know, and they will have to serve their term.
Let's look at some circumstances that probably have given rise to this kind of practice. Could it be greed? Could it be the fact that they find so much of appeal in the legal profession? Of course, I know you already made an allusion to the fact that other professions have seen these fakes over time. What's the attraction really for them?
Well, for me, I see frustration on their part. Many who actually dream to be, for example, lawyers.
Right.
Now, you went through school, and in the process, you were rusticated, or you couldn't complete your education, whatever it is, and then you have to drop out. But you see your colleagues, your classmates, many of whom still believe that you went through the same process like they did. So when
not knowing you dropped out in between.
So when I see you intermingling, you know, chances are they want to believe that you were with them, you went through the same process. So they hardly would not know that you didn't go through entirely. You know, some may have carryover that they may have to write, and you know, by reason of which they may not be called at the same time with you. So for the fact that they were once classmate of yours, will make you have that free mind, their impression that yes, he went through the same process. You know, for those persons who dropped out of ego or lack of self-esteem, rather than face something else, they want to still pose to their colleagues and to the world that yes, we are still members of the same profession, we went through it. And then you find many of them who have gotten very close to legal practitioners. I, for example, before I went to read law, law was not my first priority interest. You know, I actually was interested in becoming an accountant, and because of this childhood dream, believing that, you know, those who count money in the banks, the money
are very wealthy people.
Yeah, the money belongs to them. So when you are an accountant, you have enough money. So that was my idea. And then I joined my elder brother, the former Attorney General, Dr. Sagi Baiwana, in his chambers as an office clerk. You know, so I worked with him, help him to clean the office, help him to do something. I grew to do researches, help him to go find papers in court. Yet I was not a lawyer, but I could do all of those things by association. Yes. And then I called that dream, that idea, that inspiration to read law. I said, why don't you read law? Why this was a dream of accounting? Of course, we didn't get admission as early as we expected into university, so we spent some time working in the office while pursuing the admission. And it gave me the inspiration to go read law. And I had to go write a qualifying exam, you know, and I was admitted to the University of Benin. I went through the process, you know, I was called to bar. So before I became a lawyer, I had gathered enough experience, much more than those who were already lawyers, who perhaps did not even do pupillage, who didn't, you know, get attached to a senior lawyer to understand, to study them, to see how it goes. So I could do much of those things. I could draft an affidavit even at that time. You know, now I went through school, I became a lawyer, the experience doubled. So for those who didn't have that discipline to go through this process, if you admire a profession, go through the process of acquiring the appropriate certificate to become a member of that profession. So for those who do not have the discipline, they may continue to now pose. After all, you could do some researches because you once work with a lawyer. After all, you could go for an affidavit. You know how to even draft an affidavit. So you begin to pose as such. And then because other persons have been seeing you around, you know, coming to file papers in court and all of that, maybe you could dress well, you could put on a suit and all of that. So they see you, and this guy must be a lawyer. And because the way he carries himself and all of that. So you can easily find them impersonating. And without being caught, because I've been seeing them around the field, you know, of this practice. So that's the way it has been. So it is lack of discipline on their part. If you admire that particular profession, go through all that it takes to become a member of the profession. I went through it. Like I told you, I wasn't interested in becoming a lawyer. Now I got inspiration. I went through it, and it's better for me. In fact, I continue to thank my elder brother, Dr. Sagi Baiwana, for giving me that inspiration. If I begin to imagine that I would not have done any better in any other profession other than the law that I studied.
There's something I want to ask you about. You know, they say it's one thing for you to have a problem. It's another thing for the problem to be a systematic problem. Is it not possible? There's a part of our system, whether it's within the legal space or generally a system here, that encourages this kind of practice, because it just doesn't settle in your head that somebody could impersonate a lawyer for 15 years and they don't get caught.
Well, I think the bar has also, you know, found reason to be concerned
about this kind of issues.
About this kind of issue. So what the members of the leaders of the bar have brought to bear, it will see that every lawyer gets verified. If you are called to bar, before you become a lawyer, you must do the qualifying exam to get admitted to university. You must do your 5 years degree course in university. Then with that qualifying certificate, you must get admission to the Nigerian Law School. Then you do the exam. When you are found worthy in character and in learning, having passed, having found to be of good character, you'll be called to bar. Then not just being called to bar, you must also have your name enrolled with the registrar of the Supreme Court, you know, as a solicitor and advocate of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. You know, you must pass through all these processes before you become a lawyer. So for every lawyer, we have a special number given to every lawyer.
It's peculiar
to you. Just like you have your BV and whatever. So it's peculiar to you. So every lawyer has their own registration number. So what they do now, they ask for verification. So every lawyer must have themselves verified. So you go through the process of verification and you are verified as a legal practitioner practicing in Nigeria. Your name is enrolled in that roll call of lawyers at the Supreme Court. So your number is there. Now they devise a means. For those who are practicing as private legal practitioners, there's a green seal issued to such persons.
For somebody like yourself?
Like myself, with my name inscribed and my Supreme Court call to bar number inscribed. For those who are working for government in a public legal practice, like Ministry of Justice and all of that, they also have their seal. They have the red seal with their name also and their peculiar Supreme Court number inscribed. So now the rule has been made that for every process that we emanate from a lawyer, whether a process to be filed in court, even a correspondence by way of a letter or anything, the lawyer must affix that seal.
Okay.
So if once you sign any document, you must affix your seal that carries your special number and name attached to it. So that which they are now weeding out the fake ones. So if you go to do verification, if anybody is going to do any transaction with you, the first thing you should ask for is the green seal if you are dealing with a private legal practitioner, or the red seal if you are dealing with a public legal practitioner. So these are the way to find out. So that verification must be done. So in the process of the verification, we're able to weed off, those fake lawyers. Of course, we also see people could also get desperate.
Right.
Some even try to attempt to even fake the seal. They try to be a step ahead.
By way of circumventing
that verification. But you can easily tell when you see a fake seal.
Right.
Because there's a way security measure they put in it. Just like you also have fake currencies and all of that. You still have genuine currency. So they try to also fake the seal because they try to be a step ahead. So if you desire to be in the practice, go through the process, get certificated, get called to bar, and continue to be. And even when you are a lawyer, the fact that your name is in the roll call of lawyers does not mean that name will be there forever, because it's subject to good character. So it's a noble profession. So when a lawyer misbehaves, the certificate of call to bar could be withdrawn, and then you become an ordinary Nigerian.
So at that point, it's obviously the fact is obviously that you can't practice anymore.
You can't practice anymore. So you must be upbeat. You must be up and doing. Be of utmost good conduct at all times. You must not be seen to be swindling anyone. So that's why we see a lawyer dealing with a lawyer. We put ourselves like in the role of a priest. We are seen to be overboard, to be above board, and to ensure that when you are dealing with any person, that person should have some confidence in you, that whatever information given to you, you will not divulge, just like a priest receiving confession. And then when you speak, when we say we speak from the bar, when you speak, it is saying that what you have said is the truth and nothing but the truth. So it's a very noble profession. So when you see a lawyer misbehaving, or somebody who calls himself a lawyer misbehaving, begin to act in a manner that is unbecoming of a legal practitioner, and a petition is written to the legal practitioner disciplinary committee, such a person can be called to order, and when they discipline such a person, they can withdraw as a punishment, either you suspend your certificate or withdraw as a certificate of call to bar, in which case, that nobility will be removed from you since you want to be a tout. So you could go be a tout. So it's a noble profession. It is not so that we should allow people, quacks, to come in. So the bar has done its best to try to weed out these quacks. As much as they continue to be there, one day you also get to know. Another way of also knowing them, is we have our conduct, the code of conduct. So there's code of conduct for legal practitioners. When you see somebody who wants to be legal practitioner, behaving and contrary to that code, you could easily tell.
It can raise suspicion.
Yeah, it can raise suspicion. Just like a military personnel. I'm sure they have their way of salute, and they have the way of behaving.
They have their terminology.
Exactly. So if a man is wearing a military uniform and put a whatever star in there on his shoulders, and then you see him, you ask a particular question, and he answers you in a manner that is contrary to the code, you could tell that this person is a fake. And then you can begin to inquire and find out. So the same thing with lawyers. When you appear before judges, before magistrates, before president of the various courts, customary court, there's a way we relate with them. There's a way we address each other. So you can easily tell when a quack comes around and says something else. Imagine you go to it before the high court to address the judges as my lord, and they begin to call my lord your honor or your worship. A question will be raised: who are you? Are you a lawyer? Because you know that you not address a judge of the high court as your worship or my honor.
Which means there's already a problem of orientation.
So there's no way they cannot actually get it all. Some of them, for one or the other, they will miss out on the code, and you can easily tell if you follow them very closely. So I think as much as they begin to try to fake this identity, Nigeria should also, the police and and the bar should also be proactive enough, to
help to identify these fakes,
them and then punish them for the crime.
Let's take a quick break at this point. This is becoming more interesting, but there are a few more questions I need to talk to Matthias about right after this break. We're back shortly. We appreciate you staying with us on Law and You here on Independent Television. I was just curious before we hit that break a while ago, where, for example, you have a fake lawyer or an imposter lawyer who had been able to, as it were, get judgment in favor of their clients prior to being caught. Are those judgments valid?
Well,
it's interesting, isn't it?
It's interesting. Ordinarily, those judgments ought not to be valid, but you cannot visit the same, of that individual on the innocent
client.
They didn't know, so the law must be flexible in that respect.
Okay.
To say that, because this person was...
Because the reason I'm curious is the other party can sue.
Well, it can be, unless we want to make it a ground of appeal.
Okay.
To say this proceedings was conducted by some other person who poses to be a lawyer, and by reason of which they should everything that has been done should be declared to be null and void. But the law will still look at it with that eye of equity to try to cushion the effect. The person who hired him, was he aware that he was not a lawyer? The fact that he has done XYZ and he did it very well, even though not qualified to have done that, he could be punished for it. But why suffer a third party, for the sins of another? So it's an issue that I think is debatable, so the court will look at it from both eyes to ensure that you don't visit too much hardship, on those who are actually victims, of what has happened.
I've been thinking while you were making a whole lot of sense of these issues, how that institutions also have a responsibility to double check people. The individuals have to also take the pain to look at people's backgrounds, to know exactly where they are coming from. For example, here at ITV, we do that a lot. We have to know that Matthias Obayoana is a lawyer, eligible to practice as a lawyer in Nigeria. Exactly, for us to introduce him as Barrister Matthias Obayoana. We do that with doctors, we do that with academics, and so on and so forth. But we had a case in Lagos not too long ago where somebody was said to have been a lawyer, and then he was coming on a particular radio station to talk in the capacity, or in his capacity as a supposed lawyer. And then it takes a while before somebody discovers that he isn't a lawyer. And then you're calling him to come back to the program. It doesn't show up, because at that point, the lead has been blown up.
Exactly.
What does that say about our lackadaisical attitude about these things? Somebody shows up and says, I'm Dr. XYZ, I'm Professor XYZ, and we take them hook, line, and sinker. Are we doing enough in that light?
Well, it's identity theft. There's really not much you could do, unless maybe perhaps if we are living in a fully digital world. For Nigeria, for example, where you want to tell, just do a quick check to find out. There should be, it's a website, for example, for lawyers, where you can actually check for names of lawyers.
Non-lawyers can also come there to check?
Yes, you can check.
Okay.
So you could check to find out whether the person's name is there. If you check and his name is not there, it's not enrolled. Like I told you now, every lawyer has a unique number. So the question is, where is your unique number? Now it gives you the unique number, you type it in just like you did for driver's license. They have your own unique number. You type the number in and it does not bring your information, they can tell it's a fake driver's license. So you put the number in, does not bring his name, does not bring his particular, our photograph, everything is there. Your name, your photograph. If every lawyer have done that,
can't go wrong.
It can't go wrong. So you have done your verification, your name, your photograph, your year of court or bar. It's all there. So you could check. So we are doing our best to do that. I'm sure I will speak with the NBA executive. Perhaps they could come forward to throw more light on this issue, as to how the general public can check, can do a check. So if you want to hire a lawyer, you have a feeling that this person may, appear to be fake to you, you could check. Get the Supreme Court number and check. If his name and his identity is not there, it's not there. So for every lawyer, for those, because I know some of us have also not done their verification. So for those who have not done verification, they should go and do verification, because that is the only way to check, to know whether this person is a lawyer or not. So in that kind of a situation, we can do a quick check. For those of you in the media, you could do that quick check to verify. But where it is not possible to do so, there's not much you could do. Somebody has come to say he's a lawyer and is speaking as one, and maybe perhaps making sense out of whatever discussion that is making. You take it the way it is until the information arises.
Especially when he can speak the language too.
Exactly. So
he knows all of the terms.
He knows all of them. So somebody can come forward and say, no, this person is not. And once you find out that person is not, if you have information how to contact the person, I will encourage such person to be arrested and prosecuted, and dealt with according to law, in order to serve as a deterrent to others. And then we are using this million to encourage others. If you are in love with the profession, whether law, medicine, engineering, go through the crucibles of acquiring the degree, the education and appropriate degree.
Yes.
Before you can become, that which you want to be. Because cutting corners will not help. Even if you have done maybe a degree course, you have not gone to go and do your, go to law school to get cut to bar, it's still not sufficient. You must complete the process.
Yeah.
So there's no halfway to it. So that's the only way out. So for those who want to cut corners, who want to follow through the process, due process to become what they aspire to be or what they admire, such persons, when they are caught, they have to face the full wrath of the law.
Let's talk about what the law says, specifically for this kind of persons, where somebody has been caught to have been a fake lawyer over time, and now they are to face the law. What does the law prescribe as penalty?
Well, the minimum punishment is 3 years.
Okay.
3 years in prison.
Upon conviction? Upon
conviction, because you are impersonating. You could impersonate, like I said earlier, under section 484 to 489 of the Criminal Code, chapter 46 of the Criminal Code, deals with impersonation. So when you impersonate somebody who is living or who is dead, or you impersonate a position, or you impersonate a status that you could say you are a chief, you could say you are a governor, you are whatever that
you are a monarch.
You are a monarch, and you now find out that you are not. So such a person's provision have been made under the Criminal Code to deal with such persons. They could be arrested and prosecuted, and punished, either made to serve their prison term, or to pay option of fine, or to do community service, whatever it is. At least that label will be on that person, as an ex-convict. And that, of course, would deny such a person of so many rights and so many privileges.
And that doesn't sound like something pleasant or desirable. Yes. Either. Thank you so much, Barrister Matthias Obayiwana, for helping shed lights on these very, very important issues. He already made the suggestion. In the days, at least weeks ahead, we hope to get the NBA to officially speak on these issues because they are very crucial issues that have to be addressed as quickly as possible with all of the commitments it requires. That's our program for you this week. Many thanks for watching. I'm Uyi Agumofwegbe. Enjoy the rest of your day.